Greetings everyone, welcome to another fantastic episode of SwampFox Magfed. I hope you guys are having a positive and productive day and your 2021 started off awesome. This is going to be episode 1 of season 3 and we are going to be starting it off with a review. Now I want to start off by saying thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to this channel over the years now. Wow, we're into year 3, and really helped to push this to where it is today. I am very excited to start season 3 with you guys. We've got a lot of cool stuff planned, and we're just hoping that the pandemic does not limit us as much as it did last season. But regardless of what's going on, we are forging ahead, and we are going to bring you guys some great content for this next year. We are currently at 145 subscribers at the time of shooting this video, which is absolutely fantastic, and it's crazy. I can remember a couple years ago when I had like 15 people subscribed, and so it's really cool to see the growth of the channel. For this season, I'm looking to do a lot more product reviews. In addition to product reviews, I'm looking to jump into some field reviews as well. So, without further ado, for episode 1, I figured we would check out something cool, and it is the Gen 2 box mag from MCS. I shoot currently an MG100. I have an MG100 as well as a Didam, and the last few months of the season, I was really starting to shoot the MG100 more. My Didam shoots great, but the MG100 is just a little bit more low maintenance, and it was the marker I preferred for the latter end of the 2020 season. But with that, I wanted a little bit more firepower. I ended up purchasing the continuous feed mags from 3D Paintball Parts down in Mexico, and I love those. But in terms of rec play at the home field, we don't shoot any first strikes, and so sometimes depending on the players that are coming out, it's nice to have a little bit more firepower with your marker. I don't want to use a hopper. I'm not a big fan of hoppers anymore, especially having that nice low profile front end. And so my big thing was, well, let's try and find a box mag. I wanted to use that weird feed thing that went attached underneath and you put a hopper on, but after reading some reviews, I heard that if you didn't have the right hopper, it wouldn't work as well, and so I was kind of like, eh. I also have a box shredder for my Didam, and so my next step was just, hey, you know what, let's do the conversion. Let's switch everything over. I see a lot of guys online that are using them and they're working great, so I figured, you know what, why not, let's get it. I bought a brand new LTR loader, and it would work initially and then it would just die out. I chatted with a couple guys and they said that they had to do a couple different motor variations in order to get it to work. I tried a few different things and I could never get the thing to work consistently. So after struggling with that for a little bit, I just scrapped it and decided to look into this MCS box mag. Now, this is the Gen 2 edition. This isn't the Gen 1, so if you notice the Gen 2, it has, I don't know if you can see down there, but it has that additional plate built in. So that way there is no longer that awkward space that you see on the inside of the loader. You know, they did a good job at kind of filling that in so everything feeds as it should. You're not having to do that crazy shake like you had to do with the Gen 1s or get the metal plate. And so I ordered this thing. I was like, you know what, let's get a little bit more firepower. I liked that it was half the size because that die box rotor is extremely heavy and very clunky. And so I was very excited to get something that was going to be a little bit more lightweight and just to kind of see what this thing had in store. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of reviews out there. I know MCS themselves have done quite a few shooting videos. DEF CON, I think, has done a couple has done one video, but that was mostly on the Gen 1, and so I figured this would be a good opportunity to provide you guys with a review, especially if you're looking for something a little bit more, that will provide you with a little bit more capacity for the 2021 season. So I ordered this thing a couple days before the new year, and when it arrived, I was really impressed. I mean, it is very sturdy. I like the heavy dutiness and that like tough fabric material on the outside. I think it works really great, and I think it provides a nice aesthetic as well. It kind of reminds me of the old ammo pouches and things like that, like for the belt-fed machine guns. That's what it kind of reminds me of. And so it has a really cool look to it, and it is extremely sturdy. I mean, looking at it, you think, ah, it's fabric, it's gonna have a lot of give, but as you can tell by me pushing on it, it really does a good job at staying extremely rigid while still providing that fabric style look, which I think is extremely cool. It has a couple Velcro patches out here on the outside. This strap doesn't really do anything here. And then it has some Velcro on the bottom, but I'm not quite sure what that does. It doesn't really make the box fit any tighter around the loader, just because this is so rigid, but if you like having a little bit of Velcro on there, it looks pretty cool. What I'm actually thinking about doing, because it doesn't provide any structural support for the box itself, is I'm thinking about just cutting these back here and then using this to put a name tape on. So that way I have a cool little Velcro patch so I can throw a SwampFox name tape on while I'm playing, just so I know it's my my box. But pretty cool. Like I said, don't really think it does anything, but it is pretty cool. Now, this thing operates off of a rip drive format. And so, if you can, as you look inside here, it just has a rip drive system, and then it has the cone on the outside to keep the paintballs from going in. The cone itself that sits around the rip drive, it doesn't sit at any sort of an angle. It's just nice and flat. So you'll still have to kind of shake and move a little bit, but that movement, I feel like, comes naturally when you're transitioning and just playing paintball. And it works really well. I never really had any issues with paintballs sitting on that inner tray and not feeding in, and so I think they did a really good job at fixing that tray issue and making it something that comes standard with the loader itself. It is sound activated, so the on-off is here. It's a nice little push button. Push it once and it's on. You can hear it, and then as you can hear it kind of spin. Now, there are 3 different settings that you want to look at. They have a sound setting, sound sensitivity setting, as well as a speed setting, and it goes 1 through 3 for both. And so the first time I played with this, I had the sound sensitivity up to 3 for the max sensitivity, and then I had the speed sensitivity to 2, just because I don't really shoot crazy fast, and I figured that would be kind of a good segue into, you know, not being like, I heard if you set it too quick and you don't shoot super fast, you'll deal with chops. Too slow, same thing. So I figured putting it right in the middle would be kind of a good way to start, and then I could adjust it after that. And so that was my settings. I did find it a little tricky in the very beginning to figure out how to adjust the settings, just because everything is done with the pressure pad here. And so it's all based off light sequences. And so even with reading the instructions, I thought it was a little tricky to kind of time that. You have to wait for the light to turn red after the specific color. I think it's orange or green to change certain settings. But once you kind of figure the pattern out, it works out. It just took me a little bit in the beginning to kind of figure that out. They've got some cool engraved MCS logos on either side, as well as here, which I think is really cool. And then you have the one takedown screw on the outside here that I thought was nice. I did notice initially this thing was super tight in the loader, or in the marker itself, when I put it in my MG100. It was a tight fit securing in there, and then when I wanted to get it out, it was a little bit of a wiggle to pull this thing out fully. I feel like over time, as the marker starts to break, or as the product starts to break in, it won't be an issue, but it was something I noticed upon initial use. Now, this wasn't something that I was taking out. I was just kind of putting it in the marker at the start of the day, and I'd keep it in for the full day. But yeah, and like I said, it wasn't super light or super heavy. It's got a nice kind of rip drive at the bottom here, so if you're having some feed issues or whatever else, you can kind of spin the feed here and you're good to go. But initially, when I shot this thing, now I ended up using this with my MG100 for the first time, and I ended up just running it standard. And I did end up getting 3 chops on the first day. It was interesting enough, as soon as I ordered this, I started to see a couple videos with people, and they had talked about how this thing was just crap, not to pick it up, It's not going to be a good product. And so I found that out after I ordered it. So upon getting it, I'm like, oh, crud. You know, I just bought something that's going to turn to a blender, especially with the MG100 having no eyes. And I didn't purchase a lock bolt yet for this. And so this was the first time I used this. It was running eyeless, pretty much. Eyeless, speed setting 2, sound sensitivity was 3. And so it made me a little nervous. I'm like, you know what? This thing's going to turn it into a blender. But upon using it the first time, it worked absolutely great. Now, like I said, I did end up getting 3 chops throughout the day. The first one, and it wasn't until the end of the day. So the day I was playing, it was a little bit colder, and it's hard to know if the chops were truly because of the loader, or if it was because of the colder weather. And so I had a buddy that was using my Didam, and he was having some breaks as well. So part of me wants to think it had a little bit to do with the cold weather, in addition to maybe some misfeeds from the MCS box rotor. Now, mind you, like I said, I didn't have any eye system in it. And so with this being sound activated, I did have some reservations about, you know, it feeding it halfway and then you're getting tons of chops. But like I said, it wasn't until the end of the day that I started to experience chops with this, and that was when kind of the sun started to go down and it got a little bit colder. So it might have been a combination of climate as well as just the half feeds that you may get with a rip drive. But you know, the MG100 being what it was, I shot right through those brakes, and it ended up kind of just shooting through those chops and brakes that I had, which wasn't really a big deal. But other than that, I mean, it shot really well. I think this platform would work a lot better if you had an eye system, just because with any sort of hopper, especially a rip drive, I mean, the thing is just going to feed what it hears you shooting. So if there's no eye system or lock bolt system, there is the possibility of you getting, you know, the ball not fed all the way and you getting a chop. You know, it's just, unfortunately, it's one of the downsides to having a sound activated system. But even with that being the case, I was shooting at varying speeds, and like I said, the chops weren't until the end of the day. So in my mind, that was a win, and it was a really, really cool product. I ended up using, so for my loadout, I had to switch it out a little bit too. I found that 100 round tubes work best with this when you're loading it. Now, this thing has 140, 150 round capacity. It takes 4 AA batteries on the inside here. I found that was a pretty good capacity. I'd carry that, and I'd carry 200 round pods, and I'd be playing all day, which I thought was super cool. I do have 140 round pods, but I did find that the 100 round pods were a little bit easier for the capacity that you had. Another issue that I found was when you're loading this thing, obviously it's sitting back like this, you lift up the lid and you pour in the paint. I found that you need to be careful to make sure there's no paint that gets on the back side of the lid here. The paintballs would get back there, and then you go to try and close it, especially in a hurry, and you can't close it down all the way. So one of the things I made sure I did was just kind of keep pressure against the back of this, and then I just made sure to be careful when I poured, so that way they would all land in the loader and none of them would get behind the lid. And then that way I could just pop this thing back on and you're good to go. And I feel like it's something too that's just going to come with time. You know, the more you use this thing, the more comfortable you're going to get. But that was one of the concerns that I had, or not really the concerns, but one of the issues that I found when you're using this. Just be mindful of how you're loading and make sure that you're getting them all in the container, or else you're either going to have to kind of kick them out of there before you close it or scoop them back into the loader. And so what I've just been working on in my spare time is just when I go to reload, trying to make sure I'm getting them all in the basket. But other than that, I mean, this thing is pretty freaking nifty. If you're looking for a box mag for rec play, like I said, my home field doesn't allow first strikes, and so especially during the wintertime when people are wearing multiple layers and things like that, you get a lot more bounces. So I found something with a little bit more capacity makes it a little bit more fun. If you have something with eyes, a Didam, this thing would work great. I wouldn't see you having any issues with chops. If you are running the MG100, I would definitely consider possibly getting a lock bolt. That is the thing that we're going to be checking out next. So the first time I had this, I ran it with no lock bolt, and I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I still got 3 chops, but other than that, great day at paintball. For the second time we're using this, we're going to be running the lock bolt from MCS, and we're going to be checking out to see if there is a big difference with running this thing with a lock bolt or not. Like I said, will it eliminate chops? Was it all because of the cold? I'm not 100%, so I'm looking forward over the next couple weeks to get the lock bolt in, run this thing, and then we'll do another review for you guys, specifically reviewing the lock bolt from MCS and how it works with this MCS box rotor. Will it eliminate all the chops? We will see, but that's going to be the next review we have for you guys for the 2021 season. So yeah, all in all, I think it's a really good investment. There was a lot of guys that were unhappy with it, and I think that was more so to do with the Gen 1. This is, of course, the Gen 2, and I have been extremely happy with the results. I would recommend getting one. You know, truthfully, I enjoy this a lot more than the die-dam box rotor conversion. I feel like for myself, it was just a lot more headache just to get it to work. While it did look cool, this thing is out of the box, ready to go. So the biggest thing I can recommend is going through the manual, get your settings correct, both sound and speed sensitivity set, and then I would look at possibly trying to source some 100 round guppy pods to fill this thing up, and yeah, and you're gonna have a rockin' good time. It doesn't need to have the lock bolt, but I feel like the lock bolt will be a great addition. Like I said, we're gonna do a review with that coming up soon, and we'll let you guys know how it runs with the lock bolt, and hopefully that should solve the 3 chops that we had throughout the day. So, with that being said, that's going to go ahead and close out our first video for the year. Again, guys, thank you so much for all the support, and I'm looking forward to a new exciting year with you guys. Leave a comment in the section below if you guys want to see my loadout for running this thing. I figured out a cool way that I can run some mags as well as 100 round guppies. I run a battle belt only, so if you guys want to see that video, leave a comment in the section down below, and I would love to do that video for you guys, and then that way, if you do have one of these and you're playing Magfed, it might give you some ideas in how to run your own battle belt. So if you guys like to see that, leave it in the comments below. If you have one of these and you used it, let me know what you think. Did you like it? Did you hate it? I'd love to kind of know your experience, because I've had some really good experience with this so far. So again, guys, thank you so much. I hope you guys are having a fantastic 2021 so far, and I'm looking forward to hopefully things returning back to normal, some big games opening up, and just another exciting year of paintball. As always, guys, have a positive and productive day, and we will see you on the field.